Good afternoon, children. Welcome back in online SSC classes. Children, in our previous class, we have learned about the small kingdoms of North India. Let's continue the chapter and know about more given in the chapter. We will learn today the facts about Rajputs, the administration, the economy, the society, the religion, the education, the art and architecture, the trade, etc. in this class. Earlier, we have already learned about the three most important empires of medieval period in North India. Those kingdoms were the Rashtrakutas, the Palas, and the Pratiharas. And the most important tripartite struggle also, that was the famous tripartite struggle, was fought between the Rashtrakutas, the Palas, and the Pratiharas for the provinces of Kannauj, because Kannauj was the center of attraction that time. So the continuous fight of Kannauj and the victory and defeat of these three kingdoms lastly weakened their power and resulted the decline of all these great powers. Their empires disintegrated into many small kingdoms within a period of 100 years. In this class, we are going to learn about the Rajputs. Around 9th century CE, the whole of North India had become a patchwork of small kingdoms, as the powers of Rashtrakutas, the Palas, and the Pratiharas ended. During the 10th century CE, three important developments took place in medieval India. So let's know about the three important developments that took place in medieval India. Firstly, North India became in close contact with Western and Central Asia. Secondly, most of the kingdoms came under the rule of Rajputs, who were continuously at war with one another. So, the most of the kingdoms came under the rule of Rajputs, and the Rajputs were engaged themselves continuously at war with one another. Finally, the continuous war among themselves created political instability, which was the major cause of beginning of Turkish invasion in North India. Children, in our next chapters, we will learn about the Turkish invasion in our country. So the Turkish invasion was the result of the continuous war among the Rajputs, and that's why those Rajputs were failed to keep their provinces safe from Turkish invasion. The Rajputs and their origin. Let's know about the Rajputs and their origin. The Rajput played an important role in medieval India. They were famous for their bravery. There is no clarity about the origin of Rajputs. The word Rajput means son of a Raja, means prince, means a person who belonged to a royal family. But all the Rajput do not belong to the royal family. Then many Rajput family trace their origin to sun or moon, and they are known as Suryavanshi and Chandravanshi. Very interesting fact about the origin of these Rajputs, that they declared themselves and their origin from sun or moon, and that's why they were known as Suryavanshi and Chandravanshi respectively. Some historians believed that the Rajputs are the descendant of foreign tribes who had settled in India. It is also believed that the four main clans of Rajput were born from fire altars. That is why they are also known as Agni Kulas. Another interesting fact that some main clans of Rajput, four main clans, and they considered themselves born from fire. That's why they are also known as Agni Kulas. There are Parmars of Malwa, Pratiharas of Rajasthan and Gujarat, Chauhans of Ajmer and Chalukyas of Gujarat. There are about 36 clans of Rajputs. Let's know about the Chauhan dynasty, the most famous and brave dynasty of that time. Children, a map is also tagged here, and this map has been taken from Google for your convenience. Among all the clans of Rajput, the Chauhan dynasty was the most special and prestigious dynasty. Children, do you know the name of Prithviraj Chauhan? Prithviraj Chauhan was the most powerful king among Chauhans. He came to the throne in 1177 CE. He made many conquests. The most important fact about Prithviraj Chauhan was he defeated Muhammad Ghori, a king of Afghanistan, at the battlefield of Tarain near Bhatinda. Chandabardai, as we learned in our previous chapter, Chandabardai in literature, we learned his name, who wrote Prithviraj Raso, which has been written about the life story of Prithviraj Chauhan. And Chandabardai composed an epic poem, Prithviraj Raso, which narrate his bravery and heroism also. Do you know Jayachand, the king of Kannauj? Yes, that Kannauj which was the center of attraction between the Rashtrakutas, the Palas and the Pratiharas. So Jayachand was the king of Kannauj, held Swayamvar for his daughter Sanyukta. He did not invite Prithviraj. He placed a statue of Prithviraj in the position of a doorkeeper in his court to insult him. The princess of Kannauj rejected all the princes assembled and instead placed the garland around the statue's neck. Before the courtiers realized what had happened, Prithviraj, who had been hiding close by, sprang up and rode away with the princess. So this is the do you know, and it has been given in your book. Now the struggle for the supremacy and constant infighting created this unity in enmity among the Rajputs. This attracted the Muslim invasion in India. The Rajput failed to join hands with each other to defend India from Arab invasion. Governance in North India. Let's know about the governance in North India. First of all, we will learn about the administration of that period. So the king was all powerful in North India. He was assisted by different officials. The empire was divided into provinces. The king was the head of military as well as judiciary. The king spent huge amounts of money on building up strong armies. Now the second is the economy. That was a great economic disparity, means inequality among different social classes. The royal family, the high officials, and the traders also were prosperous, but the people living in villages are poor. The temples were the center of riches and hence attracted a lot of invaders. In next chapter, we will learn about Mahmud Ghazni, who was also an invader who came India and loot a lot from the temples. Now comes the feudal system. Let's know about this. This is very famous in North India. And feudal system was prevalent in North India. The kings granted lands as rewards to the officers, who came to be known as Thakurs or rise. Later on, these feudal lords used to provide military assistance also to the king at the time of war, and this increased the importance of those feudal lords. The feudal system led to the decline of many empires because the feudal lords give only a small part of the land revenue to the king. And this is why this weakened the power of the kings. Moreover, many feudal lords like Chauhan and Parmars considered themselves powerful and established independent empires also. Let's know about the society of that period. The rigid caste system led to the division of Indian society at that time. The king and the feudal lords and the Brahmins are in high position, enjoyed a life of luxury. Land was cultivated mainly by the Shudras. Shudras means the lowest class, who were burdened by taxes and social discrimination. Now let's know about the condition of women at that time. The condition of women was quite miserable. They were deprived of education also. The evil practices of sati, child marriage, and polygamy contributed to the decline in status of women. On the whole, we can say that the position of women in North India in medieval period was not good because they are not educated, and the evil practices are prevalent like sati system, child marriage, and polygamy. Do you know the women of royal families committed jauhar, means immolating or sacrificing in the fire to protect their honor. If their main folk, means if their people were defeated or killed in a battle. Let's know about the religion of that period. The Rajputs mainly worshipped God Vishnu and God Shiv. They also worship goddess Kali, Lakshmi, and goddess Durga. Now, the most interesting thing of that time is the gift of land to the Brahmins. The Rajput kings used to give land as a gift to the Brahmins, and these are called Brahmade and Agrahara. This is very important to learn and to memorize, that the gift given by the kings to the Brahmins as land was known as Brahmade and Agrahara. Hinduism became more popular than Buddhism. During this period, the Bhakti Sants preached devotion towards and opposed social discrimination, superstitions, and narrow-mindedness. That time, the Hindu Sants preached about the social discrimination, superstitions, and the narrow-mindedness because of many social evils were exists at that time. Let's know about the education. The elementary education was limited to temples and monasteries. The University of Nalanda and Vikramshila became two important centers of higher education. The study of philosophy and religion was encouraged, but the subjects like mathematics and science were ignored. Children, do you know what is philosophy? Philosophy is the study of nature, cause of principle, and reality. So that the study of philosophy and religion was encouraged, but the subjects like mathematics and science were ignored. Now let's know about the languages of that time. The regional languages like Marathi, Gujarati, and Bengali developed as they were the languages in which the Bhakti Sants preached and composed songs. Sanskrit language enjoyed the place of prominence. Pali and Prakrit languages were used for writing books on Buddhism and Jainism. Children, the most important thing here to remember is the Sanskrit language, which enjoyed the place of prominence. And these two languages, Buddhism is related to Pali and Jainism is related to Prakrit. And these two languages are used for writing books. Let's know about the art and architecture of that period. Examples of painting of North India can be found in the form of murals. Let me explain you the mural painting. This is a kind of painting of artwork painted or applied on a wall, ceiling, etc. And such kind of paintings on the walls and ceilings is seen in palaces, caves and temples. The Jain monks and painters of Bengal developed the art of miniature painting. Miniature painting has been explained before also. So this is a type of painting on a small painting executed with great details. The people engaged in such kind of paintings were the Jain monks and the painters of Bengal. Now let me explain one more time about the temples, which are the finest example of architecture of the North India in medieval period. The Lingaraj and the Mukteshwar temples of Bhubaneswar, the Sun temple of Konark are the fine examples. The world famous Khajuraho temple complex was built by the Chandel. It is decorated with beautiful sculpture. So many more temples are given here. In this way, we have completed all about the kingdoms of North India in medieval period. Children, to understand the chapter more deeply, you must learn these words. The words to remember are the feudal system. It was the socio-political setup of medieval Europe based on land holdings. The second word is mural painting, means any piece of artwork painted or applied on a wall, ceiling, etc. Third is patron, a person who supports an artist, writers, etc. with money, gift or endorsement. The fourth word is philosophy. It is a study of nature, cause of principles of reality. The last word is polygamy. It is related to social evil of that time in the society. Polygamy means the practice of having more than one wife. Children, these are the words to remember here, and your homework is to write these words and learn also. So this chapter has been completed, and in our next class we will go through the question answers of this chapter.